Oh my god, yes, it's here.
Okay, guys, this is the first part of the Kamen Rider Kabuto commentary.
Oh,
as you can tell, Scott is literally jizzing in his pants right now.
Because, alright, I literally can't explain it, but Kabuto is just so appealing to me on a personal level, and on this rewatch, I'm realizing it's not even that great. I'll admit it. Kabuto, alright.
Yeah, he has gotten better about it. It's just he likes some characters a lot, and it's like just it overshadows all the glaring problems that come up on rewatch.
Honestly, 100%. I'll admit to all of these faults. I'll admit to the plot holes and the inconsistent writing and the wasted potential. I'll admit to all of that.
I want to say what the biggest plot hole is right now.
We'll get to it.
We'll
get to it in a second, but I just want to say, I already know, if this were pre-rewatch me, Kabuto is like an 8. Current, and I already know how 80% of the rest of the show goes. Like, I had forgotten a lot of things, but now that I'm rewatching,
especially on that last episode that we just finished, we both forgot that they dropped that shit so early.
Well, I remembered it. I just didn't remember how early they did that thing. The big thing I forgot about was Kageme's dad. That was the big thing I completely forgot about. Oh, and the Zabi tattoo.
But as soon as it shows up, it's the biggest thing ever. But then it literally means nothing.
Literally means nothing. But current rewatch, I already know I'm gonna give this show like a 6, or maybe a 5, depending on how much more like I remember. Oh, this is a plot hole. But I'll admit it. It's just like this show. Particularly the characters appeal to me. And the style of the show appeals to me on a personal level. Maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's, rose-colored glasses. But I enjoy Kabuto a lot.
Definitely my opinion of this is affected by the fact that I've already watched it. Because the one big decisive thing that separates me and Scott on this show is the main character. And he loves the main character. I hate the main character. Only in honestly, when I first watched the show, I didn't start the show immediately hating the main character. It was only towards the end of the show that I did, and that's definitely carrying. I'm definitely picking up that. I definitely picked up that emotion. And ran back to the starting line with that, and just continued it forward.
Oh no, literally, Alan sat down right in the beginning with a pen and notepad. He's like, I'm going to write down every asshole thing the main character does. And then one of the first things the main character does is make one of the other characters foot a bill for a fish delivery.
Oh, it was so bad!
Episode 2. Alright, so we're going to start off. So our main character is named Kagame, and he's kind of a secret agent of this organization to stop the aliens.
Our first
main character.
Because
the actual main character.
This TV show, although Kagami is not primary writer, he is treated as a main character. He is treated as one of the two main characters.
He's definitely treated as one of the two main characters. But he's our first main character.
Oh wait, this reminds me. Remember how we had this discussion about Ryuki? Where it's clearly both people are the primary writer.
But if the other person...
But one is put in front of the other instead of side by side.
Yeah, but the difference is in Ryuki they get equal power-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers. So Kagami is chasing a purse snatcher or whatever. Because he's a police officer and he's chasing the purse snatcher.
No. The guy steals his wallet.
Oh right, he steals his wallet. He steals a pickpocket. Or he
gets pickpocketed.
He gets pickpocketed. And he's chasing after the guy. And as they're running, the guy pulls out a knife and he goes, "I'll fucking cut you, mate." And Kagami is just like, "Ah, shit."
So you just going, "I'll fucking cut you, mate."
So there's this other guy who's just walking by with a bowl of tofu in his hand. And he's just casually strolling by, a man brandishing a knife at another guy, and he just walks right by it. And as the criminal is flailing his arm around with the knife in hand, his knife barely misses this other guy's throat. And like, I forget how it happens, but Kagami takes down the guy, and he goes, "Hey, you! That was dangerous. You should have stayed back." And then the man turns around and he goes, "There's no way that blade could have ever touched my skin." And Kagami's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And then the guy, he points up to the sky and says in the most confident voice ever, "I am the man who walks the path of heaven and will rule over all." And then he points directly at Kagami and he goes, "I am Tendo Soji." And then he walks away. And Kagami is just like, I hope I never deal with that person ever again. Aww. Spoilers, he has to deal with that person for the rest of forever.
Yeah, for the rest of eternity. It's great.
And in other timelines.
And other multiverses.
You're right.
It's not even exclusive to the timeline.
It's not even exclusive.
It's the entire multiverse.
So after that, Kagami is part of this secret organization called Zect, who fights these alien monsters called the Worm, who can somehow turn into other people and act like them and blend into humankind, and then they also murder them. They're in a fashion, in a sort of fashion. They remind me of the Orphanox, kind of, sort of, a little bit, because they're the monsters of the week disguised as humans for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely nothing like the Orphanox in any other fashion, though. But so as Kagami, deals with the pickpocket, his coworkers at Zect are like, "Hey, Kagami, isn't it time for your other job?" And he goes, "Oh shit, you're right." Because for some reason his part-time job at a cafe is leagues more important than his undercover fight aliens, Men in Black type work.
Oh man! Let's not forget that he's paid for both jobs.
Yes, like he gets paid for both jobs, true. But there's a lot of times when he's in his like Men in Black persona, and they're just like, "Hey, Kagami, don't you have to go to your other job?" And he's like, "Shit, you're right," because this organization's secret, so he has to have another job for no reason. It's literally on rewatch, I'm realizing that it's literally an excuse for the characters to hang out in a singular central place that they can keep filming at.
Yeah, it's honestly one of like the
weakest justification.
It's the weakest justification. They shot really far with this when they didn't even have to try that hard at all to get these characters involved together.
Yeah, they could just be like, they could literally just have all the characters do the same thing that Kagami's the only literal one who had to have an excuse to be there in the first place. Because he
didn't even need that excuse.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like, everyone else just hangs out there because they like it.
Well, the thing is, like, every character that does hang out there afterwards are people who, who get introduced into as the series goes on.
Yeah, Tendo and Daisuke and all that.
It could have just gone as far as, like, that is Kagami's part-time job, not the secret organization thing, or it could have been like Kagami just frequents there and he's a friend of the store owner or something. You didn't have to have that as his main job that he frets over every once in a while for no reason.
And then it doesn't even matter most of the time. Like,
yeah, going in the future, it doesn't really matter.
Nope. But it's literally just an excuse for us to be introduced to La Poisson, or whatever the cafe is called. I don't know. La Salle. La Salle. So I forget exactly what else leads to the rest of the episode. But there is the introduction of the Masked Rider system, and the Zectors that allow people to turn into Kamen Riders,
So you guys know how arbitrary some rider systems have been before, man-made rider systems have been before? They don't get more arbitrary than this fucking one.
This system is super arbitrary. It's really crazy? It only ever really matters for the Zabi, Kabuto, and Gatak. It only matters for them because no one ever frets about Drake and Sword.
Well, no. The part that makes it arbitrary is the part with
Zabi,
Kabuto, Drake, and Sword, because my problem is the deal with the rider system is it's supposed to be the Zectors choose who uses them, even though they're machines. They have the ability to pick their owners, and the problem is that they're made by an organization who wants to use them exclusively, but the way that they're designed is that the organization has no control over who uses them. And so more than half of them, and when I say more than half, I mean all but fucking how many?
1.5.
All but 1.5. And the reason why we give it the half is spoilers for another commentary that we're going to do in the future.
It's Gatak, right?
Yeah. All but 1.5 are used by
people not a part of
people not a part of Zek.
Oh.
And the part that makes this the most frustrating is that the Zectors didn't have to come up with the story that the Zectors, with how the Zectors were made, that makes everything so arbitrary. They could have just had another origin and it would have been just fine.
Just like a lot of things in the show, if it had just been written a little bit differently.
Oh yeah, this show suffers from writing problems all over the place.
Yeah, on the rewatch, I'm definitely catching a lot of it. But back to the main thing. So they introduced the whole Masked Rider system, and Kagami really wants to be a Kamen Rider so he can defeat all the worms, so he can kill all the Titans. Become the number one rider in all of history, and all that all that good stuff. So when the Warmu start attacking, he puts on the rider belt and he goes, "Come out, Kabuto Zector!" And from a giant portal in the sky, the little Kabuto, metallic transformation trinket flies through the air and spirals down to Kagami. He's about to catch it in his hand, but then the Kabuto Zector zips away from him and flies into the hand of someone else standing atop the stairs. And that man is Tendo Soji, wearing another rider belt. And then he henshins and he turns into Kamen Rider Kabuto, and he kills all the worms. And it's great. It's just great. I love it. Because not Kagami, Tendo's a gigantic asshole. He's super arrogant. When he says he's better than everyone else, he means it, and then he backs it up in a lot of situations where he's just he fights better than everyone else. He's super calm and collected, and he has his grandmother's infinite idioms to pull from, because one of his catchphrases is "grandmother said this," and then he'll say some words of wisdom that will apply to the current situation.
I was trying to find it right now, but I can no longer find it. I was reminded of on Twitter, one of the things that got one of the things I saw posted on Twitter from Brennan Williams, aka Great Black Otaku, aka Shogun of the Ropes.
I have no idea who that is, but go on.
He's a football player who revealed himself to be a huge otaku.
Fantastic.
Then switched over to a career in wrestling where his main gimmick is anime bullshit.
That is the best thing I've ever heard.
his signature move is the Nico knee.
So why is this relevant here?
So on Twitter, he made a post, like posted a picture that was during the 2016 presidential election.
Oh man,
it compares Trump to Hillary to Tendo Soji.
That's right. Oh my god, yes. Oh, that's right.
It's like terrible thing that president does, followed by something that Tendo does, and it's like for Trump and Hillary, it's like check, and then an X on Tendo. The next one is like check, and then an X on Tendo, and then it's like X, and then a check on Tendo, because the final phrase is the man who walks the path of heaven.
Yeah, it's just the walks the path of heaven. It's just like neither Trump or Hillary do that. It's like Tendo. It's great.
Oh man, I was looking for it.
Oh, that was a good one.
It's really hard to find, apparently.
Oh, that's old memes. They're dead and buried among the vast swaths of the internet drudgery. But so now we basically have our main character as a writer, Tendo Soji, the Kamen Rider Kabuto.
We have our two main characters established,
and then
Tendo's not even Tendo doesn't actually get established until the next episode. Actually,
yeah, he gets
because he's there, and he's there at the beginning of the episode. He walks by at some point, and then he shows up at the end of the episode.
Yeah, and then he takes care of the Warmus. And then we have our so as we're going forward, we get more of the supporting cast, like Hiyori, which is the super shy, standoffish, sarcastic girl who works at the same cafe that Kagami does.
Kagami's OTP.
She's completely adorable. She is like the spirit animal of a lot of people these days, but like from 5 years or from 10 years ago almost. God,
and I would argue that being that kind of person 10 years ago is far better than being that person now.
Yeah, she's just like, I don't want to do it. Why me? No thanks. Leave me alone. Those are some very common phrases from Hiyori, except for that one time with that child.
Yeah, except for that one time with that child.
Where she was super involved because it was super important.
Another arbitrary thing. Can we just call this Kamen Rider arbitrary and then just
Kamentary Kabuto?
Alright, so nothing really eventful happens other than us getting to experience Tendo
being right every time.
Yeah. The two main thing for the next couple episodes, the two main things that they make clear is that Tendo is a perfect being, and fate will always conspire to make things go his way, and then Kagami has to work for it through sheer determination to get what he wants.
And that's okay. Because Tendo is the man who walks the path of heaven. Yeah.
And then Kagami is the dish towel that will wash the mirror.
Yeah, that you remembered that?
I found it while I was looking stuff up.
Oh my god! See, I was thinking of that. I was trying to remember what it was, and all I remembered was something about a mirror because that's what a Kagami is. So in a completely unrelated special episode, Kagami tries to make up his own catchphrase, so he tries to use his name like Tendo does and another character to like make up a catchphrase, and it turns
what it is he's told by one character, hey, maybe you should do that thing with the name, and then another character chimes in and says, well, yeah, you'd be the dish towel that washes the mirror, and then he's like, what? And then Tendo's like, I guess not all of us can have good names like that.
No. I thought for sure that Kagami
Tendo's the one who said he's the dish towel that washed the mirror, and then the other character says, "I guess we all can't have names like that."
I don't know. It was something like that. But yeah, I was trying to remember what it was, and so there.
But yeah. So anyway, we get a sense of what who both characters are. They start off the whole what is Zect, what are they capable of?
Apparently anything.
And then,
despite being a secret organization, they can also do everything.
Yeah. Then we get the introduction of
Yaguruma,
who
Kanzen Chowa, perfect harmony.
Yeah, he says both words together.
He says it both in Japanese and in English. He says perfect harmony, Kanzen Chowa.
And after he's introduced, we get our actual second rider, Zabi.
It's just for whatever reason he's called Kamen Rider the Bee, but when he henshins and he does the cast off system, because the writers in the show have
because of the way Japanese works. Anybody who can't actually fluently speak English, even though they learn it, anybody who can't actually fluently speak English, what they end up doing is, because they're not used to the TH sound, they replace it with a Z sound.
Well, actually, what I was going to say was despite it being called the Bee, when the writers in the series have two forms. They have an armored form, and then they have a cast off form where they're faster but have less armor. And when they do the cast off system, they say change, and then whatever the insect is, it's called change wasp.
Yeah,
despite being called the Bee.
Well, the thing with that is that it's because his design completely changes between cast on and cast off.
Yeah, I get it.
So the way the writers work in this world is, when they first henshin, they're all really bulky and have like armor, like all the Blade Riders do, and then they'll cast off the armor for a more faster form, or that's more streamlined and active. Like Kabuto's goes from like a lightly Kabuto Beetle inspired armor,
sort of like
to an actual like Kabuto Beetle inspired shape after he does it. Zabi goes from a bee
with like a honeycomb
for eyes, like armor and stuff, to like a wasp when he takes it off.
Yeah, he looks just straight up like a wasp. And the same can be said for Drake, which is a dragonfly, and Sasord, which is a scorpion.
Yeah, they all go from, like, the only one who actively changes like their theme from cast on to cast off is the bee. Everybody else just goes from like a heavy, bulky version of whatever their animal is, or with a light inspiration from their insect, to like they have that insect motif all over when they take it off.
Yeah. Speaking of, I really like the rider designs in this show.
The rider designs are great. My two favorite are Zabi, and when we get to it, Gatak.
Those are probably my two favorites as well. I just like, of them, Drake's probably the weakest for me, but it's still a decent design. But yeah, the rider designs are just really cool, between cast on and cast off. And with cast off, they're allowed to access the clock up function, because when a worm... Alright, so the worms have two forms. They have like a sort of stupid looking green, ugly ass larval stage.
Sometimes white, sometimes red.
Sometimes white and sometimes red. I don't think the white and red ones like show up that often.
They don't.
They're usually the snot green.
They have a base form and then an evolved form.
And in their evolved form, not only do they have more abilities, they're also fast enough to just basically stop time.
They move at sonic speeds.
They move at super high speeds that make everything around them look stop motion, in super slow motion or stopped.
And a lot of times you'll notice during these fights that they always put something in the scene for reference to them moving really fast.
Yeah, whether it be like one of the first ones that they do is the first one they do is when Kagami's falling. Like Kagami's falling through the air, and they fight in the slowed down time because it's not the stopped time.
Another one that they do is the rain. The rain. Another one that they do is falling cherry blossoms. Another one that they do is a roller coaster in the background,
and then the falling olive oil bottles.
Scott looks at me and goes, "Is that roller coaster?" I go, "Oh man, I saw it," because like sometimes there are things that they just can't slow down.
Yes, in the rain one, there's a bunch of trees that are rustling in the wind in the background, and going back to like stop all of those trees,
it would be really hard.
It would be not only would it be really hard, it would be time consuming on a level that like you're probably not going to see. Like on my first watch through, I never saw it. Like on a rewatch, I saw it because I was looking for it.
Another one that happens. Another one that happens later is
water.
The one with the time that they stop time, or slow down time, and then there's the episode where they have the roller coaster for reference. In the background, in one of the shots, you can see some water moving, like from one of the a river or ocean or something. You can see water moving, but like what they had to do was they had to put a really big glare on the water so you couldn't see it, but they missed part of it because it was behind a fence. And you can see the water moving. And one of the funny things about watching that episode is like, I was like, I saw it. And then Scott thought I was talking about the roller coaster in the background because he thought the roller coaster was moving at regular speeds, even though it was moving super slow.
Yeah. I was like, wait, are you talking about that? Because like, I was kind of only partly paying attention. Because, whatever. And I was like, I saw the roller coaster, and for like a split second, it didn't look like it was moving that slow. And I go, "What are you talking about, the roller coaster?" And obviously not, because when normally when they do the clock up, when clock over happens, which is when clock up arbitrarily stops. Oh, by the way, clock up is never stated to have a time limit. It doesn't.
No. The voiceover says that clock up has a time limit. We never know what the time limit is.
So clock up never is explicitly stated to have a time limit, and it always just turns off whenever it needs to turn off, and then they're allowed to just use it whenever they feel like it again. Because there are times when they clock up, clock over happens, and then they clock up like immediately again, like right afterwards. By the way, clock up is basically like the Flash. It's only as fast as it ever has to be.
Yeah.
It's the best worst power up.
So we get the introduction, or we need to go back to actually talk. Let's go back to actually talking about.
You're right.
We have the introduction of Mr. Perfect Harmony Kanzenchoa.
Yeah. And he's the leader of a secret or not a secret.
He's the leader
of
the elite SWAT team insect called the Shadow.
Yeah, Shadow.
And
he likes to have perfect harmony in his team, where they all work in perfect synchronization, and there's not a beat missed because whatever.
Yeah.
But when he meets Tendo, he starts to crack because according to what was it?
First, what they have is a matchup between his Kanzenchoa and Tendo's Path of Heaven.
Yes. Because they both want tofu,
and before they can't get an actual resolution. Then they move on to competing against each other in worm extermination. Then when Tendo has the leg up, he challenges Tendo to a duel. Kagami shows up to interrupt the duel because Kagami thinks that the riders should work together to fight the worms. And then because Tendo immediately he starts off with he's gonna rider sting Tendo. Then first they're shooting each other a bit.
Yeah.
And then some glass breaks above Kagami. Then he goes for the rider, Zabi goes for rider sting. And Tendo rather than block the attack, goes to save Kagami, and then
he takes the sword that he could have used to block
axe.
or whatever his weapon that he.
It's
both.
Honestly, it's Tendo has this rare thing where he uses a weapon that I really like. That because it's not the same that everybody else does.
Yeah,
and he takes his axe and he throws it at the glass to protect Kagami, and because he does this, he takes the rider sting.
And it breaks his rider belt.
Oh yeah, it breaks his rider belt.
So they think he's dead, but then he's not, because, he's fine.
Yeah.
He just shrugged it off.
Yeah. It's the only person who doesn't immediately know that Tendo's not dead is
Kagami.
What's his... You literally just said his name a minute ago.
Who?
Zabi.
Oh, you mean Yaguruma?
Yeah, Yaguruma's the only one who doesn't know immediately that Tendo's not dead.
Yeah. Everyone, otherwise, everyone knows that Tendo's fine. He just, he just had to go to the hospital to get checked out.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, I just want to point out, this is, during all this is one of my favorite Tendo moments. It's so perfectly done.
Ho. Are you talking about the first joke?
No, I'm talking about the church.
Talking about the church. Oh yeah.
So I want to get to that before we get to that joke, because that joke is golden.
I was going to talk about a few things and then we were going to get to that joke.
I just want to say, during all this, so in one of these episodes, there's a worm that's attacking people who only wear white. It's attacking people seemingly arbitrarily, but then Yaguruma shows up.
At first they think the primary target is weddings.
Yeah, but then Yaguruma shows up. Or no. First they think it's arbitrary. Then Yaguruma says, "Oh, there's always a pattern to these worm attacks." There's not always a pattern to these worm attacks. This is just something just for like this couple of episodes. It shows up.
It's on and off. It's on and off.
It's super on and off. Just like the what is it? The things from Agito, the impossible crimes, and then they just kind of like switch over to just straight murder for a little bit, and then they go back to the impossible crimes.
The thing with that is that the murder victims of all the the problem is they get all of their murder targets consistently have this super vague, like they have the potential to be psychics.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
but the point is, Yaguruma shows up and says, "Oh, they got to have a pattern," so they think it's weddings. So they set up a fake wedding with Kagami and Misaki, which is one of the... Kagami has two coworkers, Misaki and Todoroko. Todoroko.
I don't remember his name.
Tadakoro-san. Tadakoro and Misaki. Tadakoro is that Japanese businessman who's just like, gotta listen to orders. Orders are absolute.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
He is a good boy. And Misaki is the woman of the show. She's just, honestly, like, her personality is okay, but other than that, she's just like the female. She's the female coworker of the show. Like, if that makes sense. Like, she's not as of a defined character as Shiori.
She is going from like this series on forward, which nearly every season, like nearly every season going forward from this has it, is the action woman, the woman who doesn't take no shit.
Well, Misaki doesn't really take shit. It's just like she's not part of the action where she fights. She's just part of Zect. Like, which, I mean, I guess you can say she fights, but like she's definitely probably not as pronounced as future Rider series.
I mean, her action womanness literally just didn't come in until this last episode that we just watched. But yeah, she's definitely in that category.
She's just not as pronounced as I presume later Rider series pull it off.
Yeah, because later Rider series have them as like not as tertiary characters, but as secondary characters.
Yeah, she's definitely a tertiary character in terms of like the writing.
Do you remember how when we were playing Super Mario RPG with my brother, and I called him a tertiary character, and then he just said yes, and he goes, "Yeah, I am." And if you ever go back and watch that video, There's there's an edit where a news heading comes up and it says breaking news, tertiary character confirms he doesn't exist when not seen.
Oh my god. So they set up this fake wedding, and it gets attacked by the worm, and then the monster goes the monster fucks off because they don't kill it, and it goes to attack Tendo, who's wearing an all-white suit. Or all-white outfit of some kind, and Tendo goes, "I knew it." He's like, "I knew it. You're only attacking people who wear white." But isn't this where there's two worms for attacking the people wearing white or some shit?
Yes,
yeah.
Because
he was fighting.
There's a huge scuffle of a bunch of minor worms and one of the major ones, and it's fighting. The major one is fighting Zabi, while all of his shadow guys are fighting all the minor ones. And then Tendo comes across the second one, and Tendo shows up to fight the second one at the same scene as Zabi.
No. What happens is Tendo's in another area walking, and then that monster shows up, and then they start fighting. And then their fight carries them over to the big scuffle, and then that's when the second boss worm gets away, and then Tendo has to help Zabi and the shadow guys take care of all those worms in the area. And then when Yaguruma is just like, "Oh yeah, we took care of it," Tendo's just like, "No, there's another one. We're not done here yet."
And the way that they shoot this scene makes it to me as somebody who is just like, to me, as a different mindset, makes it look like Yaguruma sees them fighting.
It's a little unclear. Speaking of fight scenes and camera work, I didn't remember there being so much shaky cam. Like, there's a lot of shaky cam that I've dismissed when I first watched it, but on this rewatch, I'm like wishing it wasn't shaky.
Shaky cam will never go away.
I know, but I want it to. For the most part. Like, I want it to not be a major thing. Otherwise, what is it? Fight choreography is pretty decent in this show.
Yeah.
But because there's a lot of people who actually use actual fighting styles, like which I'll get to in which we'll get to in a little bit.
Yeah.
In a little bit. But so the next episode has them patrolling an actual wedding with Zect. So Kagami is hanging out with Yaguruma because he's just like, "Man, Yaguruma's the shit. Tendo Soji's an asshole. I'm gonna hang out with this perfect harmony guy. I'm gonna join Shadow. I'm gonna learn how to be a dude and be a badass and all that stuff."
Well, it's not that he's. It's less that he's. What he is doing is because Yaguruma has this super elite squad and is also Zabi. Kagami wants to learn from him so he can get more so he can be more effective at dispatching worms.
Yeah, he's like, "Fuck this Tendo Soji guy. I'm gonna hang out with this perfect harmony dude. He's super cool. I want to join his elite shadow team." So that's
just that one line that bothers me.
So they're patrolling the area. So, and then Kagami and Yaguruma are talking, and they're just like, "All right, let's start our patrol." And then they're like, "The wedding's starting." And then inside the church, you hear, "Grandmother said this," and then they're like, "What the fuck?" So they bust into the church, and they see Tendo Soji as the priest to the wedding, and he's just like, and he goes on with his love is like an eternal star, or whatever. He says some flowery bullshit that his grandmother presumably said. Mm-hmm. I'd believe it. And he's about to have these two people married while a choir is singing in the background. And then Tendo Soji, he looks at Yaguruma and he goes, "For a man who talks about harmony so much, you sure don't understand when someone's singing off key." And he points at the choir and he goes, You're not singing on tune." And then the monster reveals itself as a worm. And I just, it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite Tendo moments because it's just like, it's just him as the priest out of nowhere, and everyone is mad. Oh, it's good. It's one of my favorites. It's not as good as some of these other ones that I forgot about.
A slight nitpick. We don't have to go into it, but I just want to say this: for a monster copying a choir singer, how is it off key? I don't understand.
I agree.
They literally can okay. So one of the things that the worms do is they copy people
and their memories.
They copy people, their memories. They copy these people so perfectly that they have all their memories and all of their skills.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Which
we do actually like have confirmation of later in the show. But you know what I'm gonna blame that on it? You know what I'm gonna blame that on?
Bad writing.
Different writers. I mean, what about the goggles or the binoculars?
I was gonna talk about that at the end of everything.
I'm just gonna. We don't have to talk about it right now. I'm just gonna say the binoculars.
Okay,
but we'll
just so you people know, it's not an actual literal pair of binoculars. It's a camera, but we'll get to it later. Anyway, so we get the then we get the
Zabi versus Kabuto final round.
So that's when after the wedding episode, that's when that fight happens, and
that's
then
right.
the rider belt breaks. Kabuto goes to the hospital, and when Kagami goes to visit him, it gets like fucking Tendo is actually just helping other patients as opposed to being a patient himself.
Because Tendo Soji is a master chef,
and then
that's a big part of Tendo's character.
When Hiyori goes to visit Tendo, she sees his bag open with the broken belt. She picks it up. There's some weird shenanigans, and then Kagami walks in the door, and she goes, "Oh, is this that guy's?" He goes, "No, it's mine." He takes it. He runs off with it.
Yeah, that's right. So he gives it back to Tendo.
Yeah.
And then the belt's magically fixed for some reason.
And when he questions Tendo about it, Tendo's like, "Oh, I don't know." He goes, "I'm just as surprised as you are."
Yeah, Tendo literally just goes, "Yeah, I've owned this belt for forever, and I've never known it to be able to fix itself like this."
Yeah. So we know there's shenanigans going on with Hiyori.
There's shenanigans going on afoot.
Yeah. Then we get more of...
when do we get the...
It's like shortly after this.
Yeah. When Kabuto gets captured by Zect.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, let's just, whatever happens between then and now, or now and
then. No, I think it happened earlier. It happened earlier.
Before Zabi?
Yeah, it happens before Zabi. Because one of the first things that they talk about is, we need to capture Kabuto. And Zabi if Zabi had already been introduced, he would have been a part of this plan.
You are absolutely correct.
There's this great scene where Kabuto is captured, or Tendo is captured, and he's questioned about being Kabuto, and he's like, whatever. And then he tells then Kagami goes to break it.
Are you going
to talk about the phone call?
No, I'm going to talk about what I was going to talk about was him super hard no-selling all of the interrogation. He's just like, "Hey, by the way, as a prisoner, don't I get a bowl of noodles? Make it good."
Anyway, so he's like, Kagami goes to break into Zect to free Tendo. And then a convenient worm attack happens.
Yes.
And as everybody is all in a
fucked.
hubbub and mixed around and fucked and shit, a Zek soldier pops around the corners pointing a gun at Kagami. And when Kagami is like, "Oh, don't shoot!" the guy goes, "Pork or fried shrimp! Pork or fried shrimp!" And he goes,
"Gun to your head, pork or fried shrimp!" And he goes, "What?" And then Tendo takes off the mask that he's wearing, and I was like, "Holy shit! How did I forget about that line?"
It's so good.
It's so dead seriously delivered that it Oh, it's so good. There's another line later that we'll get to.
It's way better.
Oh, it's way better. It's you know what? It's probably the best line in the show, hands down.
They will be hard pressed to have better writing than that one scene.
So, as much as Alan hates Tendo, he loves that line.
Yeah, see.
All right, we'll get. You know what? You know when we actually get to that line,
It's nothing about the character. It's less about the character and more about how he's written. It's the number one problem.
Well,
Tendo has good moments. It's just the way they write them throughout the show that I don't like.
Yeah, we'll either get to that when we get to that line or when we get to the end. So we have then after that the Zabi stuff happens. Then after that we get the introduction to Drake, right? Like Drake shows up soon.
Oh, first we got to talk about the passing of Zabi.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so
they play hot potato with Zabi
super hard. All right, so as Yaguruma, does he quit being Zabi or does Zabi forsake him? Forsakes him.
Yeah. Because during the fight, there's a sting operation that Shadow has with a couple worms, and as they're taking care of the worms, Tendo shows up, and Tendo,
not being dead, sets off Yaguruma because he's just like, I killed you! So he starts attacking Tendo while he should be fighting the worm.
And he stops, like, he literally stops everything. He's ignoring pleas from his subordinates to give them orders on what to do. Because the situation just turns super chaotic as soon as Tendo shows up.
Yeah, because like 3 worms evolve into boss worms or some shit. It's some shit like that. So then, so even Tendo is just like, hey, am I really the one you should be fighting right now?
Yeah.
And he stops Yaguruma with a rider kick or something like that. And he knocks him away.
I think what he does is he just knocks him away, and then he goes to fight the evolved worms.
Yeah. And while this is happening, Kagami and a bunch of injured Shadow soldiers, and one in particular named Kageyama, which is the most important one.
Yeah, because he was injured during a fight
with Kabuto.
They went to visit him. Then Kagami met him because he was interning at Shadow.
So I want to point out that how he got injured is Kabuto slashed his gun and it exploded. I'm just why is he got? And then I dumbly, because I forget how guns work. Why does he got to go to the hospital? That gun didn't even do anything. And Alan's just like, when guns explode, you could actually die from that, right? And I'm like,
no. It was less that and more like a spark. Like an actual electrical spark arced from the gun to him, and I said, if you get shocked, you have to seek medical attention. You should seek medical attention immediately, because shocks, no matter how slight, can lead to some form of arrhythmia.
Yeah, you're right. Got to get an EKG.
Yeah.
Which is what actual defibrillators are for. If a heart is stopped, a defibrillator does not restart your heart. It just resets your heart's natural rhythm.
Yeah,
that's how defibrillators actually work. If anyone needs to know about that,
yeah, it's not about starting. It's about restarting.
It's about resetting, not restarting. Because if someone's heart stopped, what you need to do is chest compressions. A defibrillator isn't going to help here. Fun medical fact for the day. CPR is important to know. You should learn it.
So anyway, the fucking Kagami is taking control of Shadow, ordering them what to do. He's holding the line down, my man. But by the way, so like one of the things that I always hold out for is when regular humans are fighting monsters, it's that we get the moment where the regular human beats the monster. Kagami fucking does it. He fucking takes one of the shadow guns, which also have blade attachments, takes out the blade, stabs a worm, and it kills it dead.
Oh no, he stabs it and then he shoots the gun and it kills it.
And he kills one dead without ever having to henshin.
And then because of those accomplishments, and because Yaguruma is like mentally imbalanced, he's lost his perfect harmony.
Zabi just looks at fucking Yaguruma, says,
"Oh no,
I'm out of here."
Yep.
Flies off, and then Yaguruma loses the watch. Then the fucking watch flies into scene with Kagami
somehow for no reason.
Yeah, for some no. I think this is also during the bit where like Kabuto knocks him away. The watch also comes off, and then when he's gonna go when he's like, "No, the watch," the bee just fucking flies off and fucks off.
Yeah. And so then Kagami picks up the bracelet and he henshins with the bee.
It becomes the bee.
And he's super jazzed about it.
Man,
he goes,
when I first watched this show, I lost my shit. I was so happy.
Oh, Kagami becoming the bee was great.
Yeah.
It gets better, but it has to get worse and then it gets better.
Yeah, it gets worse and then it gets better later.
So he becomes the bee and successfully becomes the secondary writer of the show.
Yeah.
For now.
So
he fights off the worms alongside Kabuto, and then he's super jazzed about it. He's just like, "All right, guys, we're gonna have a big ass party and everything."
Then there's the episode where Kagami has to fight Tendo.
No, hold on, wait. You know, we're forgetting something super important.
Oh yeah, the big dumb tattoo.
Okay, so when Kagami becomes the bee, and then they tell him you have to defeat your first orders as Zabi are defeat Kabuto. And he goes, "What? Why?" And then on his shirt is revealed to be a big ass bee tattoo.
Because you're the chosen one of Zabi. Looks down, there's a giant chest tattoo on it.
And a bee who doesn't sting when it's told to is worthless. Even though bees die when they use their stinger. But you know, wasps.
It's a good thing he's in wasp form when he does it.
No, whatever. Well, fucking ever.
I just like to think that if Zabi ever rider stings while in cast-on form, they just die.
It's like with the Fize belts where they just melt.
Oh man.
So Kagami is just like, well, I don't want to fight Kabuto. I want to be friends with him. And then Tendo goes,
I don't want to be friends with you.
We're not friends. I don't have friends. I have minions. Or something to that effect.
Yeah. Then we get the fight between Kagami and Tendo, where
Rider stings Tendo
right in the arm.
Tendo
takes it like a fucking shit. He no-sells it.
He Hulk Hogan no-sells it because he's Tendo fucking Soji and he doesn't need to take your shit, but he will anyway, just to show you that he can.
Yeah.
So then Kagami is super sorry and he tells him, "Tendo, I'm so sorry. I treated you so roughly."
And then Tendo's like, "Oh, just when you're starting to be a cool guy."
Yeah. Oh man, no. What was the one where he like gazes deep into Tendo's eyes and he starts like saying sappy shit to Tendo and he's just like, "Get away from me."
I think it's during the brother bit. When
You're right. That was forever ago, so let's not worry about it. We're
long story short, a worm pretends to be Kagami's brother. End of story.
Whoop-de-doo.
His dead brother. Yeah, end of story.
So we were just gonna make more gay jokes. Yeah, it's great. It was hilarious.
Then after he gives up the bee, and then after he gives up the bee, it's given to Kageyama, and this is the point when I'm like, I was super surprised because I didn't remember that Kageyama, he's a boxer. Yes, he's just a straight up boxer. He's got his arms up. He's fucking throwing out jabs.
Yeah. So when we were talking about people using actual, fighting styles, mainly the one I was referring to is Kageyama, who's a boxer, which is important to note for later. We'll get to that.
Yeah. So,
but no, you know what we're forgetting before Kageyama becomes Zabi is the whole olive oil thing, because that's how he becomes Zabi. And because before that is
that's his reveal.
That's the reveal. But remember, the line comes before that when he's following around Kagami. When Kageyama's following around Kagami.
Oh no! It's
that definitely
that was it.
We skipped like a whole bunch of episodes.
Did you have to go back that far for it?
It was episode 14 is when it happened.
Oh, because I thought that was during the. I thought episode 14 was during the.
Like
something else. I thought it was
after that stuff is when is the whole the doctor thing. Right. That's sometime after that. What we skipped was like Drake. Like Drake shows up for a little bit and then he goes away and then he comes back.
I thought Kageyama was doing it for more than than that.
All right, no. So if I'm remembering the episode ordering right, we have a few episodes. Drake shows up around like 7 or 8, right? No. Zabi shows up around like.
Zabi is at episode 7 because we were surprised that he showed up that early.
Right. Zabi shows up at like episode 7 and that's resolved by 10. By 14 or 15 is when Kageyama gets Zabi. So what happens is after Hiyori sees that it's because after Hiyori sees that Tendo has the belt, she like starts having like an identity or not like or like a crisis or whatever. So she cooks bad food for Tendo, and he gets mad. He's just like, "I'm never eating here ever again. If you serve me," he's like, "Because you served me bad food once, I'm never eating here ever again." So he fucks off and he starts looking around for shops. Oh. No, see,
you're right. This is the thing because it's talking about Shadow chasing Kagami around.
Yeah. Because remember, there is a traitor.
Yeah,
there's supposed to be a leak in the Shadow organization because after Yagaruma stops being Zabi, Shadow disbands, and then old Shadow members start ending up dead from worm attacks.
Oh no! Wait. This is after because the traitor is an after thing. Wait.
Or wait, am I?
Okay, so what happens is Drake gets introduced, and then this whole plot happens.
Yeah. So what happens is Kageyama starts shadowing around Kagami
because he thinks he's a traitor.
And for a guy whose name is Kageyama and who is a member of an organization called Shadow, he's kind of shit at shadowing people because he was close to Kagami.
Let's be honest. He was doing really good, even for how close he was. It just so happens that the perfect man walked by.
Yes, Tendo is on his so because Hiyori served him bad food, Tendo is on a search for a new regular cafe, but no other.
And not even a cafe. He's looking for anything.
So all the restaurants that he's just looking at have just been are just closed for the day or whatever,
or they don't have ingredients
or something. Just bad.
He's having a bad day.
So he sees Kageyama following Kagami around. So he gets up and he puts Kageyama in a headlock and he whispers in his ear, "So do you know any good soba shops around here?" It's the best line. It's so he delivers it with such dead serious certainty.
The best part is he follows them for a little bit too. It's not even just he just shows up. He follows them for a little bit just to confirm that Kageyama's following Kagami, and then he does the headlock and the soba shop thing.
He just puts him in a headlock. It's better than the pork or fried shrimp line, just because it's like I don't remember how many times, but Tendo will just say things like that with like dead certainty, like, "I need a soba shop. Do you know any good soba shops around here?"
So fucking wait.
We were still all right. So we had to pause for a second.
Yeah, because I had to go to the bathroom.
So what ends up happening is Kageyama is shadowing Kagami around.
Do you know any good soba shops around?
Yeah.
And then they get to the end of the episode where they have Kagami cornered, and then they're like,
Shadow has Kagami cornered because they think he's the traitor,
and one of the guys is
because Kageyama like fucked with his phone or something. Yeah, because Kageyama is a slime ball. Spoilers. He's just...
Oh no, he didn't do the phone fucking yet. That's actually in the next episode.
Oh, yeah. Whatever.
He does do the phone. This is Kagami's phone. He does the phone fucking to make it seem like he's the traitor, and then so that he can trick his own team into believing that he's the traitor.
You know, all of this would have been really easy if they had some way to detect.
We'll get to that later. So anyway, he tricks his own. He tricks his own team into thinking that
this plan is the dumbest plan ever.
Yeah. Into thinking that fucking Kagami's the traitor, so that he can reveal the true traitor, which he knew was working on his team the whole time.
Because for whatever reason, if they would try to kill Kagami
to hide the fact that Kagami is innocent, and they tried it. And before the bullets hit Kagami, Tendo runs by Henshin in clock-up speed, blocks the bullets, and then Kageyama's like, "You're the traitor!" And he's like, "What?" He goes, "I knew you would try to kill Kagami to shut him up from, because you knew that if we pressed him, we would find out that he's not the traitor, and thus you're the traitor."
But then Kageyama was completely wrong.
Remember? No, he was right. He was right.
No, it was a completely other guy, remember? It was a completely other guy from the one who shot the bullets. It was a completely other guy. I swear to God. We can go look at it right now. Probably episode 15-ish. I swear to God, Kageyama was just wrong. Also, his plan was stupid in the first place.
It doesn't matter. They find out who the worm is without fucking actually killing any of their own guys.
And so then Kagami gets butthurt that he was used as bait and literally almost died, as he should.
Yeah, he's perfectly justified. Then,
he's super pissed off and sulking.
Yeah. Then we get the bit where then we get the episodes where they're looking at the doctors.
Yeah, the doctors. Also could have been solved if they had some way to detect between humans and worms.
Yeah.
Damn shame.
The doctors, when Kagami wants to wants to prove that he can deal with worms outside of Zect, without needing to rely on Zect. So he takes time off and takes a bunch of Zect equipment, Zect brand equipment, and trademark Zect.
Zect brand, Apple brand Mac. I know what I said.
Hey, let's not forget that he carries around Zect brand guns. And then he goes
the little MIB pistols.
Yeah. Then he goes to fucking figure out which doctor is the fake doctor. Then because the doctor that he thinks is an eyewitness produced a description. And it matches the appearance of this doctor at this hospital. So he follows this doctor, and then for 2 days, Mizaki asks Drake to help her.
We never actually talked about Daisuke. I'd just like to say that we talked about him, but we never went through his introduction.
We established this as soon as he was. We established this while watching the show. As soon as he's introduced, Daisuke doesn't mean anything. It's Drake that we need to talk about, and even then, Drake doesn't actually mean anything.
Well, Daisuke is Drake.
What are you talking about? It's just Drake. Daisuke doesn't do anything. Daisuke has no bearing on anything. It's just Drake.
I don't know. Okay, I was confused for a second because I was just like, does he like not remember Daisuke?
Did you remember the conversation now?
Yeah, now I remember. Okay, so
we'll talk about that later.
I just want to talk about the quick rundown of Daisuke. Daisuke is an extremely talented makeup artist who has a small child that follows him around. Amnesiac small child that follows him around semi-legally. And
that's it. That's all you need to explain.
Yeah, that's basically all I really need to explain. He's kind of he's kind of an airheaded idiot.
So Mizaki asked Drake to follow her around
because he's a sucker for a pretty face.
Yeah, to follow her around so that Kagami does, because they want to follow Kagami so he doesn't accidentally get killed while investigating the swarm.
Yes.
And then they find the double, and then this ends in Kagami, without seeing the doctor turn into the worm, gets attacked by the worm. Drake comes in for the fight, and then Shadow shows up, and then we get Kageyama taking orders from this familiar, perfect sounding voice.
Who said, "Grandmother once said this."
That's only after he tells Kageyama to fight the worm.
Yeah.
He tells Kageyama to fight the worm, and then he says, "Grandmother said this," and then he does the reveal that he's Tendo, and then as the worm tries to run away from Shadow, and
Tendo in clock up form or in clock up.
No. Hold on. The worm tries to run away. It gets a little bit further away when Drake goes to stop it. It gets it separates itself from Shadow or whatever, and then fucking Kageyama's busy with a bunch of like minor worms or whatever.
Yeah.
And Tendo comes in, henshins, beats or doesn't beat the worm, but helps fight it off, unhenshins, and this is the moment where I'm thinking to myself like there's a problem here in that Tendo is working for Zect, but how can he do that without them knowing that? Like, how are they doing this? Don't they know that he's Kabuto? Or and it's during this that Scott tells me that Kageyama doesn't actually know that Tendo's Kabuto, even though I thought that the whole time.
Yeah, that's actually something that they paid attention to. Damn shame they didn't pay attention to the binoculars.
Damn shame they didn't pay attention to anything else.
It's like, of all the things to keep consistent.
There's things that are so minor that they keep consistent, but then there's things that would literally blow this entire series apart if they had kept consistent.
Literally, the binocular, like, I'm just gonna say it right now, real quick.
So Zect has a camera that picks up
body heat.
Body heat. Worms don't have body heat, and that's how they can distinguish worms. That's in one episode. That's how they distinguish worms from a normal people, and then the camera never shows up again.
It shows up like twice, because that camera would have literally solved this entire Doctor double issue immediately.
Yeah,
this entire set of episodes just probably wouldn't have happened, but it did.
The entire episode where there's a traitor in Shadow wouldn't have fucking happened if the camera existed.
And a lot of future problems would have been avoided if that camera had existed in those episodes. But this is the problem with having multiple writers and having episodes being written simultaneously
without a proofreader,
without proofreaders and stuff like that. But then they keep things consistent, like Kageyama never saw Tendo turn into Kabuto.
Yeah, they even set up shots so that when Tendo henshins near Kageyama, it's not within sight of Kageyama, and they establish the shot of him walking. Like, he henshins and then walks around the corner and he's there. Yeah. Or he runs into the scene at clock up speed or something.
Or he's already henshined when Kageyama shows up. And stuff like that.
Stuff like that. So anyway, they solve the Doctor problem, and then they do the Kidnapped Gone episodes.
which is the little girl who's with Daisuke. Her name, Gon, comes from, like, a Japanese phrase that means a person with no name.
Yeah. And
Get it? Because she doesn't have a name, because she doesn't remember
and then
it?
she gets her memories back. She goes back to her mom.
Okay.
Then,
I do want to say, like, that... Alright, that part of the episode does get me every time.
Yeah, it's really good.
Because they set up this running gag with Daisuke, where whenever he's complimenting a woman, he always trails off at the end.
He's tripping on his own words because he can't think of what to say.
He's trying to say, like, you're the most beautiful flower, but he'll forget the flower part or something like that.
You're beautiful just like and then Gon will chime in and finish the phrase for him.
He's like, yeah, that. And then, so after Gon gets her memories back, she forgets about everything she did while she didn't have memories. Because that's how amnesia works, apparently. I don't think that's how amnesia works. So,
it might. I've never actually looked into amnesia.
Daisuke passes them by on, like, a bridge or whatever. And the mom knows that
the mom goes to, like, when Gon's like, who's, like, mom, this man's creepy. The mom is going to explain to Gon who Daisuke is, and then Daisuke is like, no, it's okay. And then he goes off, he starts just talking, and he does the whole, like,
and he
says the thing, but he can't finish the sentence.
So he looks at Gon expectantly,
and then she doesn't finish the sentence for him, and then he says, "Never mind, I'm just no one." And then
it gets me every time. It's just a really good scene for a bunch of episodes that mean nothing.
Yeah,
I'll admit it. It does show us how, like, Kageyama's a fucking creep.
Hey, remember, nothing episodes can have good scenes. Remember that scene when Ren was like, here's a card for the wedding, don't invite me.
Remember those 2 nothing episodes in Ryuki with...
That's one of them!
Yeah!
The other one is the other one is the arranged marriage one.
Yeah,
oh god, those scenes are so good for episodes that don't do anything.
Yeah.
So then we get the next set episodes, which is oh
fuck. It's not Sasword yet. We get a little bit of something, and then we get Sasword, right? I feel like
we get Kagami. We get one episode of Kagami going like, "I'm the man, yeah," because he killed a worm with his little MIB.
Yeah. So during all of this, with, like, the doctor thing, while he's, off on his own, he does in fact succeed in quote unquote killing a worm. What actually happens is he shoots his gun. Tendo, stops time. He clocks up. He clocks up. And then he goes and kills the worm while Kagami's firing his gun. And the narrator says, in the moment before Kagami's bullet is fired from the gun and hits the worm, this is what's happening in clock-up time. And, Tendo does the rider kick to explode the worm. So by the time clock over happens, Tendo's, out of the way. So Kagami thinks...
He hits the worm with a finisher, runs away, and then it's timed so that as the worm goes to, or as the bullet touches the worm, that's when the worm explodes from.
Yeah, so then Kagami tells the story like 100 times. He's just like, it was me against Worm, the enemy of humanity. I put my everything into my last bullet.
The one thing that bothers me about him telling this story is he's already killed another worm. Confirmed killed another worm!
No, see, this time, but that time he had Zek's help. And it wasn't an evolved
He soloed... No, the worm that he kills in that episode, he soloed!
Yeah, but it was a grunt worm.
All the other fucking shadow guys were, like, shitting their pants, and then he runs in, starts shooting the bullets, stabs, shoots the worm, and then fucking kills it, and he goes, "Get your fucking pants back on, and let's fucking do this!"
But all right. I'm gonna counter this with one. That worm was a baby grunt worm, not an evolved worm.
Okay. I mean, I guess.
And 2, he was using Zect brand equipment, Zect brand elite equipment, not Zect brand baby gun.
By the way, Zect brand baby guns just don't need to exist in the show. They could just be using regular guns.
Nope. Japan.
I mean, aside from the fact that they're not allowed, it could have been.
It doesn't matter whether they were real guns or Zect brand Magic MIB tiny guns. They're just guns in this series.
So the reason the reason why I keep saying this, and I have a problem with it, and Scott doesn't really have a problem. My problem is that they have all this arbitrary equipment that exists for no reason, that they say is for fighting these things, but actually prove to be actually have zero effectiveness. Like, the best we ever get is the Zect brand, like, elite soldier shooter guns stave off a worm long enough for somebody else to come in and do all the work.
For a writer to come in and finish it.
Yeah.
That's honestly, I accept it because that's just the nature of the show. That's just how, that's how tokusatsu work. You can't have the not right. You can't, aside from very specific moments like Kagami taking out, the monster to acquire the Onro for Zabi to, accept him as a master.
Oh, I think Zabi would have accepted him as a master even if he didn't kill it.
I agree, but like that you know what I'm trying to get at here. Aside from very specific circumstances, people who aren't writers I don't want to say aren't allowed to kill monsters, but they're aside from very specific circumstances, they're not going to kill the monsters because they have to have the writers kill the monsters because the writers are the cool parts of the show. The writers are the powerful ones. The writers are the special ones. That's just how tokusatsu is. So even though in any show that's centered around tokusatsu and selling toys, all that good stuff, if there's like specific equipment that's designed in order to defeat the whatever monsters they have to fight or the whatever aliens they have to fight, and they're just barely effective enough to hold off the monster until the main character shows up, I'm usually just okay with it.
Well, one of the episodes that I recently finished of Q Ranger.
Oh man, we fucking love Q Ranger.
Q Ranger's the best.
Oh, it's so good.
They did the clip show, or they did the clip show, and when they were doing the clip show, or at the end of the episode when they're doing the clip show, they gotta fight the guys that they're fighting, which they're just fighting regular grunts for that episode,
right?
They're like Ryu Commander goes like, we're gonna take you on with our teamwork, and we're not even gonna henshin. And then they're like, everybody's like, what? And then he goes, yeah, we can do this. And it's like, everybody else, I guess. So then they beat up the fucking grunts without having to henshin. The only one who henshins is Ho Soldier, just to do the finishing blow, and then that's it. It's great.
You did work really hard to talk about Q Ranger for this.
You said I worked really hard?
Yeah, no,
I'm working really hard to not talk about it right now. This isn't the Sentai commentary. Although I told you contradictory that I was gonna do it, I'm trying really hard not to.
I know. Good. I'm glad. So then we get we have Kagami being like, yeah, I have a big dick, I killed a worm all by myself.
And then when
we get like
the at the end of the episode, it's like he realizes that he needs I feel like this episode ended with him realizing that he didn't actually kill the worm. No. But he's okay with it?
No, he never found that out.
Never found that?
Nope.
Okay, never mind then. This doesn't resolve ever. He just does it the one time and then it never comes up again.
Yeah, he just kills a worm all by himself, or so he thinks, and then that's just the confidence boost that he needs in order to go back to Zect. I feel like there's an episode that happens between then and Sasord. I just feel like there's an episode that we're missing.
There is, because there's just because of how many episodes there are.
Yeah, there's one episode between then and Sasord. You know what? I feel like it doesn't matter, so let's just skip to Sasord. So after that, we get the introduction of our newest writer, Kamen Rider Sasord, who is probably the best character in the show.
Oh wait!
Oh,
we forgot to mention that Mishima transforms into Zabi.
Oh yeah, all right. So yeah, during the whole hot potato with Zabi.
By the way, one character that we glossed over.
Oh, you're right.
So we get a returning a returning actor, not a character, a returning actor.
Yes.
Goro-chan
from Ryuki.
Ryuki plays this super dark businessman Mishima, who's assistant to Kagami's dad, and he shows up pensions as Zabi.
Oh no, hold on, wait. I want to set the scene. All right, Kageyama got the work. He got his ass whooped.
Oh, okay, so I figured it out. The between the Doctor and Sazord is the episode is the episode where Gon gets her memories back.
What fucking ever. Again, you were right. Drake episodes don't matter. Drake is a tertiary character in this Rider series.
Yeah.
So I just want to set the stage. Kageyama got that work put in. He got his ass whooped. So Zabi detaches from him because Zabi is super fickle. Like if you lose, he don't want you.
Zabi is a tsundere. Zabi is tsundere.
Baka, I ain't let you henshin because I like you or anything. So then Mishima walks in and he looks down at Kageyama on the ground. He's like, "I'll show you how you're supposed to fight." So
he takes the fucking.
So he picks up the B bracelet and he puts it on. Then he jumps 10 feet into the air and snatches Zabi Zector out of the air.
Great.
Puts on Zabi and henshins and murders the shit out of this worm. And you know what? You know the only reason they did that is because he was Goro-chan.
Yeah.
Like he didn't.
The second time this guy gets to be a rider, it's great.
Yeah, the second time this guy gets to be a one-shot rider.
But then after the episode, he gives it back.
Yeah.
Then we get the Farewell Gone episodes. Then
Sazord shows up, who is probably one of the best characters in the show.
He hands down has the best character development.
His name is Kamishiro Tsurugi, the man who replaces God and slashes with a sword. That's his deal. He says that he does the thing with his name just like Tendo does, and he's also fantastic at everything, just like Tendo is.
You know,
but he's an asshole.
I think there's a difference in between the subtitles of the one that we're watching now than the one that you and I watched like forever ago. Because I could have sworn that he had said like his phrase in the subtitle that I watched was the man who will cut down God.
Possibly. You definitely watch different subtitles then, because these are the same subtitles I watched. Oh. And I remember this very vividly. Because I remember a lot of these subtitles being the same as when I watched them forevers ago. Oddly enough, that's one thing I do remember.
It would have been better if he said he was the man who will cut down God.
Yeah, it's probably closer to what he's saying. That's probably definitely closer to what he's saying in Japanese.
Because it's really weird. Like for us, it's really the phrasing, "the man who will replace God and wields a sword," is really weird. When in Japan, they could just mean like they probably actually are just saying something completely different than the direct translation.
Yeah, obviously in Japanese doesn't always translate well into well-crafted English sentences.
Any given language doesn't translate super well to another language. It's just a given.
Yeah, it's just how it works. So what he's saying is probably something more along the lines of the man who will stand up to God and cut him down, or something like that.
The man who will it's probably like the man who will cut down God and replace him or something.
Yeah, because that's what his name means. Kami means God, Tsurugi means sword, and there's some whatever stuff in the middle of it. Yeah, just like Tendo Soji.
So we get the introduction, and his character is presented as a subversion of Tendo's character.
Because where Tendo is the best at everything, he also has a lot of common sense.
Yes, and he's super charismatic. He's like on the good end of the charisma scale, while Tsurugi is good at everything like Tendo,
and as arrogant.
and as arrogant, but he has no common sense, and his charisma fails him most of the time.
Yeah, he has almost no charisma.
Yeah,
because he has almost no people drawing skills.
Yeah, because he's been doing everything by himself for the most part.
Yeah, even though Tendo does the same thing, he has at least the sense to like not necessarily not talk down to people, but not. He has it's hard to put into words of how it's different. But Tendo basically is arrogant. But he's not like, he doesn't lack the common sense to just completely dismiss the laws of the world around him. He realizes that there are, in fact, boundaries that he should abide by. And you know what? I get it. The difference is Gia and grandmother. That's the difference. So
grandmother teaches Tendo even if he is perfect, to be a member of society, like to be a productive member of society.
Even
while Gia just puts Tsurugi on the pedestal and tells him that, and just reinforces the fact that he's on that pedestal.
Yeah. So who Gia is he's Tsurugi's butler. He's caretaker. And one of the first shots we have of Tsurugi is basically, this is his character. He's eating a full course dinner in his lavish mansion, on his lavish plates, with his lavish dinnerware that's been passed down his English blood family for generations. And a fork drops from his hand onto the floor, and then when Gia picks it up, he's like, "Oh, I'll get you a new fork, I'll clean this one off." And then Tsurugi goes, "No, throw that fork away. I
have no need for anything that leaves my hand.
I have no need for a fork that falls from my hand." And then that's when Gia goes, but this is dinnerware that's been in your family for generations. And he goes, "It doesn't matter." And then that's how his character works. And and then we also get him and Tendo playing a bunch of sports to like match each other, and they're tying in every game. Like they play a game of soccer and it's a tie. They play basketball, it's a tie. They both bowl 300 perfect 300s. Whatever. They're basically matched in everything. You know what I'm really surprised Tendo didn't do? He didn't challenge him to a cook-off, because damn sure Tendo would beat him.
They're going to do it.
Do they?
It's one of the things that happens.
It's got to happen. Yeah, it happens later. Yeah. But
I believe it happens shortly after Kagami. I actually think it might be the next thing that happens after Kagami gets Gattack.
Yeah.
But I know it happens relatively soon.
Yeah, all right. But I'm just surprised it didn't happen, first. Because remember, that's one of the first things he challenges Yagaruma to, a cook-off.
Yeah.
Because remember, they both wanted.
The difference is that the goal was to get an ingredient, and they wanted to show who deserved that ingredient more.
Yes. I get that, and that was still a good moment.
Yeah.
They had a Shokugeki.
Dude, the problem is that during their Shokugeki, nobody was boxing, nobody was playing jazz,
no one summoned the Unlimited Blade Works,
nobody had a stand.
No one's clothes exploded off.
Yeah.
So,
oh man.
Where were we?
We're talking about how they're competing with each other.
Yeah. So it turns out Tsurugi is basically like a in a contract with Zect, where they'll pay him to kill worms as long as he gets to kill worms.
Yeah, he wants to eliminate all worms, and they'll pay him to do it. And honestly, he doesn't even care that they pay him to kill the worms. He would have just done it anyway.
Yep. But it's important that they pay him.
Yes, for reasons that we'll be
talking about later.
That we'll talk about in another commentary.
Yep. But in the meantime, Sword is really cool.
Yeah.
As all the riders. So the thing about the riders, they all have like different weapons. Like Kabuto kind of has like a dagger axe gun thing. It's kind of like just a small weapon.
It's a gun. It's a gun that also
is an axe.
An axe. Yeah, it's like just picture like where the axe blade is. There's like instead of like
It's also a gun.
instead of just like one huge axe blade, it's two metal, like it'd be like two pieces coming off that attach the blade, and then in between those pieces are the trigger for the gun so that you can shoot.
Yep, basically it's like a small utility weapon. He doesn't even always use it because he usually fights barehanded, and then Tendo's finisher is the eponymous Rider Kick.
Yeah, Tendo has a very passive fighting style.
Mm-hmm.
In that he waits for his opponents to rush in, so that he can fight at his speed.
Yep, and then the bee doesn't have a weapon, so all of its users have to fight barehanded. And its finisher is basically a rider punch. It's the rider sting. So the bee when it attaches.
When it attaches, it's fairly small, but
when they cast off, it turns into like basically
it extends. The stinger comes out more, and then they flip it around so that the stinger is like actually extends past the fist, and so that way when when Kageyama's fighting, like he can punch so that the stinger isn't in the way of his fist, but it's still there, and then he presses the button and then it glows and Rider stings.
Yep. As for Drake has a gun.
Yeah.
And he's the worst gunman ever because he always likes to run in and use his gun.
He always likes to run in and shoot mid to short range if he even bothers to shoot at all.
Yeah. There was that really cool fight scene with him in Kabuto.
Yes, my favorite special effect in the entire show is when Drake is fighting Kabuto, and then they're fighting, and then they both like jump to the side and they're sliding along the ground, and then Drake is shooting, and then the pillar that's between them when they're sliding explodes, and then. Yeah. Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah, it was really good. And his finisher is the Rider shooting, where it just shoots a big ass fireball.
Yeah.
And then Sword, guess what? Uses a sword.
His is
Tsurugi sword. He's a scorpion. Sasori.
Yeah. His finisher is Rider
Slash,
and then his sword gets covered in poison as he slashes
because he's a scorpion.
And that's all we got for now. We'll get more later. We'll talk about it.
And in the previews for the next set of episodes, we get what's called the Gattack-Zector, and Kagami is about to become Kagami becomes Gattack is like. I'm gonna say it right now. I love Kagami as Gattack.
He's the best.
It's really funny. So now we can talk about character stuff, right?
Yeah,
we
can talk about character stuff.
Okay, so as much as I love Tendo, he's great. He's an asshole, and I find asshole characters completely entertaining to watch. Alan has. I also like Kagami because I also like the Determinator type characters who like to work hard.
Yeah.
Alan hates Tendo and he loves Kagami, and he goes, it'd be really funny if you hated Kagami and loved Tendo, and it's just like, nope, I like them both. I'm allowed to like both.
Tendo, like so.
All right, so now you get to talk about your big things with Tendo and stuff.
I don't like Tendo as a character because he never develops. All character development is relegated to everybody around Tendo, and their development doesn't even pertain to them being around Tendo. It's just Tendo's there, all the other characters are there, and all the other characters get better, but Tendo
and Drake, but Drake is tertiary.
He's nothing. They could have been carting around a cadaver that entire time.
Cadaver just Rider shooting, and it'll have the same.
You hear Rider shooting from off camera. Turn. It's just the body standing there. Not even in pose to shoot. Just standing there in a T pose.
No, I got you one better. It's just a plastic cutout of.
The cardboard cutout was just. Okay. So anyway, Tendo doesn't develop as a character. He has zero struggle for anything.
Almost zero.
He has virtually zero struggle. Nobody gives him a run for his money. He's a
in any meaningful way. There are characters who will match him, but never in like a way that forces him to actually like
reflect on himself to make himself better.
Yes.
He is a walking Deus Ex Machina, and I don't like that in my main character.
I'll acquiesce.
Granted,
to that.
like, I mean, I'm not, and for anybody who will chime in and be like, what about all the other main writers who always say they have to struggle? This guy doesn't.
Yeah, like, in a way, I do agree with that, but in another way, I feel like
his character does lend himself to great scenes.
Yes.
But I just don't like him as my primary writer.
I understand where you're coming from. I feel like if... it's like, if the show were written a little bit better, like with a few tweaks here and there, like
I wouldn't just want a few tweaks. I would want major shifts in entire plot lines and characters.
Well, I mean, it's like I feel like maybe you're right. Maybe like medium. I would feel like medium tweaks here and there.
Yeah,
like maybe not
tweaks to Yaguruma would have been could have made.
Alan really wanted Yaguruma to stay around for his
little bit longer.
Eventual return.
Yeah, he could have. Like, because Yaguruma's a good character, and I do like how he shifts from his perfect harmony to
his later personality,
his chaotic Yaguruma chaotic states, where it's I don't mind that shift. I just would have liked him to stay around because I wanted somebody that would just keep. I just want somebody to keep Tendo on his toes, and not like they don't even have to win all the time. They just have to be like really close, and then he'll be like, "Man, I gotta stay on my toes on this guy."
But what would he compete with him in? Like,
he could have stayed as a writer a bit longer. Could have done anything. Honestly,
it's like
he could have like the bit where he loses Zabi, and like the bit where he loses Zabi and Kagami gets it. He could have like maybe have gotten it back and then been like, I don't know. Then he could have got like, he could have gotten it back because he could have been like, I realized that I got lost in the moment, but I'm not gonna let that happen again. But he could still start his like soul searching a little bit, and then there could just be that moment where he's like has to decide, and he's just like, fuck it, I don't want to be Zabi, and then he gets rid of it, and then he comes back a couple episodes later as chaotic states, and then
in a way I get that. I just feel I think you'd feel better if what they did was a more like reflective state on the ideals between Yaguruma and Tendo. So Yaguruma has his perfect harmony thing. And when it comes into contact with Tendo, the clashing ideology is Tendo is so naturally good at everything, but in a way that's just how Tendo operates. He lets things naturally go and uses his charisma and abilities to his advantage. And what Tendo does is when he's giving advice, he tells people to do the same thing. He's just like, use your strengths to your advantage and be a good person and all that stuff. Like, that's Tendo's ideology. Whereas with Yaguruma, his perfect harmony is a bit more forced. Like, he's aligning himself to a strict set of rules and established ideas that he has to work for in order to have this rigid idea of what perfect harmony means and perfect synchronicity with his team and stuff. So I feel like if they had done more with those clashing views in the same number of episodes, then you would have less of a problem with Yaguruma going away for X amount of time to come back as chaos mode.
The other one, which is Tsurugi, who's introduced.
Oh, what we did forget about? We forgot to talk about the big reveal at the end of the Tsurugi.
Oh yeah, Tsurugi's a worm.
Tsurugi is the worm who killed his own sister.
Yeah. Tsurugi's the worm who killed his own sister. Whatever. So anyway,
we forgot that they revealed it.
The other
so
thing
early.
is like the problem with Tsurugi matching up against Tendo is that it starts off like it starts off at like dead even the character who can match Tendo, and then shortly after they have the food match, which the food match is what leads to Tsurugi just being like, "Oh, I'm not as good as Tendo."
I mean, if you think about it in terms of like sheer numerics, then yeah. Like if he's dead even in everything but this one area, then he's
that's where he falls apart on his competition with Tendo. He's done competing with Tendo after the food match.
But
there's nothing else that he wants to compete at. He's just done.
The problem I see here is that you're looking for writers to compete with Tendo in ways that they have no reason to compete Tendo with. Like, say Yaguruma did stick around. What's he competing him in? Monster extermination? Like, that doesn't really matter. Like, they can kill all the monsters they fucking want. It's like, I get what you want. I understand what you want.
I want longer lasting conflict.
Yeah. The show is very, like, mini arc centered around. Like, all of these arcs are, like, 2 to 3 episodes. Like, this is
for any arc, like any given arc will last aside from the one that we just got introduced to, the Tsurugi being a worm. Any given arc will only last about, at tops, 4 episodes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that pervades throughout this entire show.
Yeah.
And that's one of the good things about watching it in 3 episode bites like we are, where we get to just, finish out an arc and, rub it out, done it, one and done. But then we get, like, the problem of these mini arcs never really building to anything. Like, all of these mini arcs have, like, tiny, things in the background, like Mishima being, ominous and dark and telling Kageyama, and Kageyama being a sniveling. It's like, There's no build up to anything.
They're all doing, like, they're basically all just doing little itty bitty things. And the biggest one that we get is the Tsurugi being a worm thing.
That's the biggest arc in the show, probably.
Yeah.
Because remember when we talked about when Hiyori did magic juju and somehow fixed the belt by just picking it up and coming into contact with it?
Yeah.
That literally gets dropped for like the next 10 episodes. I am dead certain.
It comes out of nowhere, and it's never explained, or it's never actually explained or addressed.
Yeah, I could give it an excuse right now, but it's
I could give it an excuse right now. It's like the problem is like even if we just gave explanations, they didn't give us the explanation. We had to come up with it.
We had to come up with with literal bullshit.
Yeah.
I have my explanation is literal bullshit. It's just because X.
Yeah.
It's literally because X, and you know what X is.
Yeah. Okay, so Daisuke might as well be a cadaver. He is Scott already explained his character. He's
Drake. He's
Drake?
Kamen Rider Drake. Like, that's it.
He contributes nothing. As Daisuke, he contributes nothing. He doesn't do anything. He never helps anybody else in any meaningful way other than his side partner, who was only introduced alongside him.
Yeah, I think she comes back even too. Right?
Yeah, she comes back with
whatever.
Yeah,
that's a small spoiler that never amounts to anything and is not going to matter.
Yeah. That's it. He's a
he's funny. There are good scenes. There are funny scenes with him, like when he does his ultimate.
Yeah, makeup. He does the makeup thing, the Kagami. That's the one that I love.
Yeah, I was about to pull that up. So when he does his ultimate makeup, it just does like.
By the way, he's basically. He acts like you know how Jotaro fights with punching. That's how he applies makeup. He goes basically, oh no, with makeup equipment, and then he makes the person pretty and calls it a day.
Yeah, so he wants to, like, disengage from talking with Kagami, so he does his ultimate makeup stand power, and then Kagami has just got the makeup on, and he looks in a mirror, and he's like, holy shit! He's like, actually, I look kind of good. Because, alright, what was
He goes, oh, this is so embarrassing. I do look pretty, though. Oh, this is embarrassing.
Yeah, so what I do like about that scene is, like, he doesn't, like, just put woman makeup on him, he actually, like, applies makeup to him, like, and it looks, you know, decent.
Oh,
like,
man.
like normally when you do a scene like that,
he looks like a Bishojo character.
Yeah, he looks like from Good Morning. Dengeki Daisy. But yeah, usually when they do a gag like that, they just put, like, you know, woman makeup on the man. But no, they, like, just applied, you know, man makeup, or not. I don't want to say man makeup, but you know what I mean when they do that gag where they put extra heavy lipstick and extra heavy powder on their face and eyeshadow and you know, excessive eyelashes and, you know, stuff like that. But no, he applied makeup to him, and, like, that's a nice touch for the joke because it's a little bit different.
I do think that going forward, Toei learns from this, I think it's Toei that it's either that or Bandai Namco. I think Bandai Namco just makes all the games.
Yeah.
I think it's Toei Productions.
Yeah.
Toei learns from this. I feel like they learned from this in that you can't have too many writers unless you have them all solidly written, as opposed to just having writers just for the sake of having writers.
Tell that to fucking Ryuki with its 8 writers that should have been 13, but
should have been 52.
Should have been 52. Was it Ryuki that was supposed to be 52?
The main director of Ryuki wanted it to be 52 writers because he didn't want any monsters. He wanted them all to be writers.
Oh yeah. That, right, we talked about that the monsters, like, brought the show down.
It was only after the commentary that I told you about he wanted 52 writers.
Yeah, so which would have been really
great.
It would have been really great. It would have fixed a lot of the issues I had.
Yeah,
like, you know, for the most part, like, you know, whatever.
Yeah. But for some reason, designing monster costumes apparently cost them less than designing rider costumes.
Or something. Or maybe they had to have monsters or something. I don't know. Whatever.
The thing I read said it was budget. It was a budget problem.
Whatever.
Yeah. Any other characters that there's nobody who particularly stands out that I feel like we need to elaborate on, honestly.
There are a bunch of nothing characters, like the cafe shop owner, Tendo's little sister.
I mean, the only... Kagami's father.
Kagami's dad.
Kagami's dad has this great shtick where when they show him, he always compares whatever situation that they're experiencing to, like, an animal doing something.
Really? I've never noticed that.
You're the one who pointed it out to me. He goes, man, it's fucking hilarious how he just keeps talking about these fucking animals, and I was like, wait till we get to the happy birthday guy. Oh, man.
I don't remember this.
It's so long ago. By the way, we've been watching Kabuto, like, less frequently than we have other Rider series, honestly.
Mostly because I have a new work schedule and it's left me drained.
Yeah. The stupid fucking camera. So one of the things about this, the reason why the camera is so stupid and it literally breaks the plot, is because when you combine it with the fact that Kagami's dad, who runs Zect and is also the chief of police or whatever, like, could easily, like, establish a system in which these cameras are everywhere that detect body heat.
And you know what's even crazier? I said, oh no, there's no way they could ever do that. And then Alan A points out that There are already people who do that, who watch just CCT cameras that are positioned around, cities and whatever. And B, we literally just saw the episode with Kagami looking at street photos looking for worms. Be a damn shame if that camera could distinguish them.
And then the one that killed it is there's this stupid during the Tsurugi introduction episode. They're trying to lure out a worm by having Mizaki pretend to be a thief or whatever, because the worm's killing people who are stealing stuff or whatever.
Oh, I thought it was killing people who had shiny jewels.
No, it was killing thieves.
Oh,
and
whatever.
So or whatever his name is, Tadakoro, and fucking Kagami are helping her out, and they're escaping from a crime scene in one of their Zect vans or whatever. They're unmarked Zect vans, and when the cop tells Tadakoro to stop, and then he goes, I need to see your license. And then he pulls out an ID card, shows it to the cop. The cop immediately knows he's from Zect and says, sorry for bothering you, hands him back the ID, and then Tadakoro's gone.
And I was like, isn't this supposed to be a secret organization? Yes. And the cop just lets him go. Yes. Isn't Kagami's dad like police chief commissioner? Yes. It's like, I don't know.
Oh, man.
First of all, it was a dumb plan. Let's not forget about Tendo, the piano teacher, with his additional hand playing the piano.
Tendo, if anybody could play with three hands, it would sound better. Don't go showing off that playing with three hands. So Tsurugi, they call a piano tutor for Tsurugi, and Tsurugi's playing the piano, and then Tendo goes to show him up. And when Tendo goes to show him up, he doesn't tell Tsurugi to stop playing so he can show him how to do. No, he just puts a third hand into the playing. It's like, Tendo, of course, putting a third hand on a piano makes it sound better, because when you get more notes involved, you can just get better sounds.
But
so stupid.
No, it's like from it's like I told you with NCIS, where the people are getting hacked into. So the guy just adds his two hands to the girl's keyboard in order to have four hands to stop the hacking. Oh, that's how hacking works, right? It's like a mini game where you just mash buttons on the keyboard.
I wish I could play an N64 controller with three hands. Oh, man.
Yes. So it's like rewatching Kabuto, I'm seeing all the problems with it. I'm still super enjoying it, just because for whatever reason, the show's just my style. Like, it just has that tone of deadpan seriousness, flashiness, and everything else about it that I just super enjoy. There are definitely pitfalls. I'll acquiesce to that. I'll give that to anybody. Someone could hate Kabuto. I love it.
It's all right. I mean, it's not. It's definitely got the most plot holes of any series we watched so far.
Oh, absolutely. Like, holy shit. Like, I didn't realize
it's like they isolated these writers into different countries, got the scripts, then mixed them around.
Yeah, like, alright, the problem is that they showed off the binoculars. Like, if they didn't show off the binoculars, that plot hole would just be gone. And then there would just be a whole bunch of... I wouldn't say there are other plot holes in the show. There are just minor, inconsistencies here and there. But the biggest plot hole is definitely the binoculars that they show off. Multiple times. Twice. At least twice.
Oh, I hope... I got my fingers crossed we get an episode where they determine that somebody is not... Or that some... Like... I have my fingers crossed that we get an episode later where they... In order to determine whether somebody's a worm or not, is they have the worm and the person competing at something, and the regular guy comes out on top, even though they literally just said that worms copy your skills perfectly.
No, but remember what they already said. If the worm sees the original, they'll try and kill the original, because they already did that. with the girl.
Except for when the worm didn't try to kill the original.
Yeah, well, when?
The doctor.
Oh, yeah.
They all actively hang out at the same ramen cart!
But then they tried to kill the doctor. Remember, the doctor made a deal with the worms to give him... The doctor would sell out his patients to the worm.
Oh, man.
But remember, they established that earlier with the girl in the jail cell that Tendo lets out, and then it turns out that the one they had locked up was the worm anyway. But it would have been a damn shame if they'd been able to tell if she was a worm or not, right? With those binoculars.
Oh, man, it's so great.
All right, well...
The show's writing ranges from dumb, what are you doing, to dumb, dumb good. Sometimes there's a brilliant gem hidden in there, but only when it's not actively involved in the story.
God, I can't believe we forgot. Like, all right, so the really, really sad part is, as much as we love the headlock, you know, any good soba shops around here, is we forgot about it. And I was adamant about looking it up because it was
we did this.
Right before we did this, I was like, I gotta find it. It was so good, and I'm just like,
it's hidden inside so much fucking schmuck.
It's hidden inside bullshit. And it's like, I had to find it. And then I see, like, the brief glimpse of him putting Kageyama in the headlock. And I'm like, this has gotta be it. Because it was Tendo saying in a serious fashion, in a serious situation, the most ridiculous line. Just like the gun to your head, pork or fried shrimp. Literal gun to his head. Your life has been spared.
Oh, man.
I
honestly don't think we're getting any more good moments like that.
I mean, there are other good moments.
Do.
There are other good moments, but they're not like that level. On that level, they're good moments in other ways, like the triple rider kick.
Yeah, that's a good moment. God,
it was just such a good. It was such good delivery. Just, you know, any good soba shops around here?
Yeah,
I love Tendo. Yeah, I forgive him.
Next commentary, we're gonna talk about the peak of the show.
Oh man, do we get Dio Brando worm?
Yes, I think he shows up in the next set.
He's got to show. Yeah, he's got to show up before 35 because that's when we're gonna stop for the next set of commentary.
Dio Brando worm is the best.
Oh. All right, guys. We'll see you next time on the next commentary.